I grew up in a quiet town, the kind where everyone leaves their doors unlocked and waves to their neighbors without really knowing their names. Our house sat on the corner of a long, empty street. There wasn't much to be afraid of back then. When I was little, my parents would let me stay up late on weekends, a rare treat. I'd curl up on the living room couch, wrapped in a blanket, watching whatever reruns happened to be on until my eyes got heavy. The sound of the TV was comforting. It made the silence feel alive. One night, I was almost asleep when I heard something outside. It was faint at first, just a creak, then another, slow, deliberate. I knew that sound. It was the porch swing. We had one of those old wooden ones that my dad loved. It only ever moved when someone sat on it. The wind could make it groan a little, but this wasn't that. It was rhythmic, like breathing. I remember peeking over the back of the couch, staring at the dark outline of the front door. I wanted to ignore it, but the sound wouldn't stop. Creak, pause, creak. Finally, curiosity won. I slipped off the couch, bare feet against cold tile, and crept toward the window. Our front porch light was still on. It cast this pale, weak circle of light across the steps. The rest of the yard was swallowed in black. For a few seconds, I didn't see anything. Then, the swing moved again, and I saw her. An older woman, maybe in her 50s, sitting perfectly straight on the swing. She was wearing a long, thin nightgown, almost translucent under the light, and her hair hung in messy, gray strands that stuck to her cheeks. Her skin looked pale, like paper, and shiny in places, as if she'd been sweating or crying. And she was holding something in her lap, a knife. Her hands were shaking, not fast, just slightly, like she'd been holding it for a long time. And her arms were red, not dripping, but wet, dark, and wrong. I froze. Every part of me wanted to back away, but I couldn't. I just stood there, staring through the glass, watching this stranger sit on our swing. Then, she turned her head. She didn't look startled or angry. She just turned, slow and smooth, until her eyes met mine through the window, and the swing stopped moving. We stared at each other for what felt like forever. Then she smiled. It wasn't wide or manic. It was tiny, like a quiet acknowledgement that she knew I was there and that I shouldn't be watching. I bolted down the hallway, screaming for my parents. When I woke them up, my dad was furious. He thought I'd had a nightmare and was trying to scare them. I kept saying, "There's someone outside. There's a woman with a knife." He finally snapped, grabbed my wrist, and said, "I'll show you." I begged him not to, but he dragged me to the door anyway. When we got there, he didn't even check the peephole. He just unlocked it and yanked it open. For a second, I almost thought she was gone. The porch looked empty. Then my dad leaned forward, squinting into the light, and his whole face changed. He went still. His jaw dropped just slightly, and then he whispered, "Jesus Christ," because she wasn't gone. She was standing in the yard now, just past the light, still holding the knife, still smiling. She took one small step toward us, then another. My dad slammed the door shut, locked it, and yelled for my mom to call the police. He ran to his gun safe, came back with his shotgun, and stood by the window. When he cracked the door open again, he shouted, "Stay where you are!" And the woman said something I'll never forget. She said, "He killed my husband, but he's not inside anymore." My dad told her the police were coming, and she started crying, the kind of crying that sounds more like laughing. Then she backed away, walking down the sidewalk barefoot, still holding the knife. The police found her 15 minutes later trying to open another neighbor's door. Her husband was dead, stabbed in their kitchen 2 streets over. She was covered in his blood, hysterical, repeating the same thing over and over. "He's not inside anymore." We never learned what she meant by that. The news said she'd had a breakdown, but my dad swore he saw something else that night, something behind her, just at the edge of the porch light. A shape, maybe, or a shadow that didn't belong. He never talked about it again. He got rid of the swing the next morning, said he couldn't stand the sound of it. I didn't either. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind is still, I swear I can hear it again. That steady rhythm. Creak. Pause. Creak. And every time I hear it, I close my eyes and wonder if she's sitting there again, or if something else ever came back with her that night.